Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Staying Super with SimplySuperDave live broadcast. Let's see here. There are no messages. Wait, be the first to say something. I don't know how all this works. Anyway, so with the podcast, I can do my episodes and then record them and put them up on the internet, okay, on different platforms. But doing a live broadcast is something I've never done. So here we are right now doing this for the very first time. And I have to say, I have no freaking clue what I'm doing here. As a matter of fact, I'm in the chat now. And I'm looking at it. And let's see here. I'm sure since this is the first time, I did notify a few people, a handful of people, because like I said, I don't expect this to be like a big show or anything like that. And if you're listening to the podcast later on, when it's not live, I hope this isn't too boring for you. So I'm going to try to keep it going. I know that it's audio only, so I'm not going to stop talking, but I will be focused on trying to figure some things out as we do this. So let's do an easy topic to start off the broadcast, and let's talk about, matter of fact, something I was talking about on Facebook today, which was about the LeBron James and Michael Jordan comparisons. Of course, you know LeBron James just became the NBA's all-time scoring leader this past week, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a record I never thought I'd see broken. But then again, I didn't think I'd see a player play as long as LeBron has as well. He's basically the Tom Brady of basketball. Let me, you know what, folks, let's put it this way. I know LeBron is this generation's greatest basketball player. No doubt about it, okay? But LeBron is just a copycat of Michael Jordan, in my opinion. He's basically a rerun without the stars in it. A remake of a movie without the original. It's like making Dirty Dancing, but without Patrick Swayze in it, you know, or Jennifer Grey, and then, or even the guy that plays the dad that was on what was that crime series on TV, Law and Order. I'm going to try to do this. Invite Facebook friends. Oh, here we go. Let's try this. Come join me. In my first broadcast. Like I said, this is an experiment. That's why I'm talking about basketball. There is no right answer, by the way, on the Michael Jordan-LeBron debate. There we go. And share public. Maybe that'll bring some people into the chat. Hang on a second. I don't know how this all works. Let's see here. I put a link on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, there is a link I just posted. And there, and I'm sharing that information with a few people to see if this works, and then from there we'll figure this out. I only got 45 minutes a month to do this, so this isn't going to happen very often. So it might be another month before I do another podcast that's live. You will always get daily drops from the podcast. Try to do daily. Every now and then I get a little sidetracked, but, you know, it is what it is. Okay, now I'm back to the app. Okay, I posted a link on Facebook. I think that's how we're going to have to do it. And we'll see. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to leave the chat up, so if anybody comes in, I can see it. And I don't know. I really don't understand this. Leave a message. We'll leave a message. I'll do that. Hello. Let's see what that does. Okay. Cool. All right. See. Okay. There's a chat. I put a and now I got a chat. Okay. Cool. All right, so I don't know if Facebook people, I don't know how all this works. I really don't. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. Look, Steph Curry, in my opinion, has done more of an impact on basketball than LeBron James has. LeBron, yes, biggest star in the world, biggest basketball player in the world, all that neat stuff, but he's just doing the same thing that Michael Jordan has established. Basically, when Michael Jordan came into the league, he changed it. His passion and everything, just the way he played. There is a time where people came up with the Jordan rules, the way the game kind of revolved around him. All right. Well, when LeBron was coming out of high school and coming towards the NBA, everybody was excited. It was like the second coming of Michael Jordan, right? But what ended up happening is that he wasn't anything new. He impacted by carrying on what Michael had already set fire to in the NBA. LeBron was probably the best Michael Jordan replicant out there, in my opinion. And I'll give him credit. He is the NBA's all-time scoring leader. But he did play 20 seasons to get to that, okay? Michael, you can't compare those two. You really don't. I think it's a great accomplishment. I'm not taking anything away from LeBron, but his comments this week is what sets afire this little debate. And he says he is the best basketball player to ever play the game. So, I think that's a broad statement to be said. I think that's something, if you're the best at something, you don't have to say it. It's being said every day by your peers. The moment you start believing your own hype is when you start to go down the hill. Or you get frustrated because you don't live up to the expectations that are really there for you. It's unobtainable. You know what I mean? And it reminds me of when Creed. Does anybody remember the band Creed with Scott Stapp as the lead singer? Really good songs. You Take Me Higher. I think they were a Christian rock band to start out. Anyway, whenever their album made it big, they were interviewing Scott Stapp and the band. And this is what led to the separation of the band from Scott Stapp, by the way. Alter Bridge is what the band went on to become. And Creed, of course, fell apart. But I would like to think this was the interview that kind of set that fire afoot. And basically, Scott Stapp, it said basically what LeBron James just said this past week, that they were the greatest rock band ever. That you cannot say things like that and not expect backlash from it. Like I said, you let your actions speak for you. I grew up admiring and idolizing, which is bad to idolize anyone, but as a kid, you're going to idolize people, okay? Barry Sanders is one of the best running backs to ever play the game and is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, sportsmen of all time. Very humble, never celebrated after he scored a touchdown, and never, ever boasted about himself. Ever. If anything, he gets a compliment and he downs it a little bit. Like, nah, I'm not really that great, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Well, LeBron's different. And I'm not, you can be LeBron. Not everybody's got to like you. I'm one of those people that don't, okay? Great ball player. I think he's just full of himself, like he's eating his own cereal. Oh, we have our very few. Woohoo! Mr. Scummy 41 has now entered the broadcast. How you doing? I can see your comments. You are the very first person to comment in the live broadcast. Thank you so much, Scummy. Apparently the Facebook link works, I am assuming, or are you through Spotify, or how's this working for you? I got to learn from my people how this works. Like I said, folks, this is the very first live broadcast, so hopefully The next time I do this, I will be a little bit more prepared and know what's going on. I'll be able to advertise it better and let people know a specific time so everybody can try to join in here. That is awesome. I'm going to respond in the text just so he can see, because I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. Haven't got a response back, so if you can hear me, Scummy, let me know. Type it in the chat. It's working. Whatever you're doing from your end is working. Speaker from iHeartRadio. Okay, so you're going through an actual platform app to hear the live broadcast. That's interesting. I wished I could be a listener to my own broadcast so I could figure out how this works for everybody else. You can hear me fine. Awesome. Awesome. How are you doing today, Scummy? I decided to start the podcast off with an easy topic, the basic LeBron versus Michael Jordan debate. Oh, my Lord, the ultimate Omega has popped into the chat. How are you doing today, Mr. Ultimate Omega? These, if you've listened to the podcast in previous episodes, you will know that I've often speak of two good friends of mine that have been there for me over this past year or two now, actually, and have gotten me to this point, have inspired me in a way. And these are the two guys that are here in the chat, my very first two chatters on the podcast. Thank you guys so much. The only place I think you can listen is here. Really? Okay. What about you, Mr. Ultimate Omega? How are you listening to the broadcast tonight? You're helping the Dave figure out how to work this shit. The topic isn't too important. Like I said, it's Michael Jordan versus LeBron. There's no right answer. Michael Jordan is the right answer. Like I said, a copy is never better than the original. That's all I'm going to say. And LeBron is just a copy of Michael Jordan. Okay, so I tried YouTube and Spotify. Okay, I see you sent me something there. I have to look at that in a minute. So I did send a link on Facebook. I shared it on Facebook, and then I sent y'all a link. Goddamn right. That's right. That is his key saying. I usually don't say that, but whenever Scummy's around, goddamn right is the way to go with it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, both Scummy and Mr. Ultimate Omega here stream on Twitch. Mr. Ultimate Omega does Fortnite Fridays every Friday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And he's been doing a V-Buck giveaway each Friday. So if you're a Fortnite player and wants to get some V-Bucks, then that's the way to go. And then Sundays is my boy, Mr. Scummy41, does Super Sunday Customs, where it's Fortnite as well. And there is customs also on Fortnite Fridays, but that's more of a creative atmosphere and just a fun party. And Super Sunday Customs is as well. But what's different about customs from creative or playing the regular game is that you get to play on the map, but just with people that have the code to play in that match. So in other words, if there's 15 people that sign in, only 15 people are on that island. And you're playing against other people for the competitive spirit of saying they're the best. You're using speaker from iHeart. Okay, cool. All right, so both of those are from the iHeart app. So I got to remember that. All right, so I don't know if the Facebook link worked or not. I'm assuming Mrs. SimplySuperDave will figure that out because I sent her a link as well. Haven't seen her pop in here yet. Thank you guys so much for being here. These are two great streamers. If you don't know what Twitch is, it's a streaming app where basically you can find any content to watch. I know people think it's all video games. I've watched people crochet. I've watched people cook. I've watched people just have mental conversations about mental health. I've seen people do stock market watches and learning about the stock market. I mean, basically whatever you want to look for, there is some ordinary person out there, not a movie star, not a superstar, that's out there doing it, and they do it better than a superstar or a movie star. What's great about Twitch is that you can interact with the streamer in the chat. So that's why I love streaming, and that's why streaming has led me to this podcast. Yeah, Dave, when you go live, it will only work from iHeart. I'm assuming it will post to the others when it's finished. I I'm guessing that as well. So iHeartRadio is the way to go to listen to the podcast and interact with the podcast when it is live and live only. I'm going to remember that. Like I said, this is a learning experience for me. I'm only allowed 45 minutes per month to do live streams. So this isn't something you're going to get on the regular each week. So I guess while I'm here, I'll go ahead and say it again. The podcast is available on all platforms except for Amazon. I'm talking about iHeartRadio, obviously, is a big one. Spotify, YouTube, Google, Apple, all of them. You can find the podcast. So, and we're already up to what? I can't remember how many episodes. 55 now? We're up to 55 episodes. So, and they're not long. They're not an hour long. They're not 45 minutes long. And I don't even know if I'm going to be podcasting for 45 minutes. That sounds a really long time. But I will say this, that if you do follow me on any of those platforms, be sure to follow it from episode 1. They're only 15 to 10 minutes long. Some go 30. It depends what kind of rant I have in my head or not. But follow it from the beginning. I promise you there is a progression. There is a point to it all. And if you listen from the beginning, you'll understand the bubble references I make down the road. 59. What does that mean? 59 episodes. Okay, I got you. I was like, 59, what does that mean? I have to remember what I'm talking about. There's so much going in my head. I'm really nervous right now. I'm not going to lie. This reminds me of the first time I hit the go live button when I started streaming. What a disappointment that was. I was nervous for nothing. I got excited when I saw somebody watching me, and streaming is so interesting. And for a person like me, like I said, if you heard the podcast, you know I'm a recluse. I'm a very closed-off person. I keep things at a distance from me. That benefits me a lot, but it also hurts me a lot. But thanks to streaming and the digital world we live in today, the reclusive person that wouldn't go outside can interact with a lot of people without having to go outside. So I love technology and how that works. It really helps out a lot. All right. Well, since we got the podcast rolling now, and we're a good, 20 minutes into it, 17 minutes into it, actually. Let's go ahead and roll into an actual interesting topic. Michael Jordan versus LeBron. That's for any sports fan out there to talk about. But let me put it this way for you, folks. I don't care how many stats LeBron James has over Michael Jordan. It's the X factor that Michael Jordan had that made him unlike any other basketball player in the league, and why every player that's come in the league has always wanted to be like Mike. So did LeBron. Sorry, ditto copies aren't better than the original, folks. That's all I'm going to say about that topic. Triple D in the house, Deep Dick Dave. That's in case you're wondering. That's my former porn name. No, I'm joking. Seriously joking. I've never done anything. I'm a recluse, for God's sakes. That's actually an inside joke that came from streaming. I didn't think that would pick up, but has held very well here over the years. Thank you, Scummy, so much for bringing that up into the podcast. I thought that was a streaming thing only, but I guess that's going to follow me around forever as long as we're still friends. So much. Thank you so much. You two guys, you don't know how much you mean to me. Thank you so much for being here. I couldn't do this and know what's going on. I would just be sitting here podcasting, wondering if the chat would even work. So you're helping me out a lot. Thank you so much. You've been so helpful in so many ways that you don't even know. I know I'm not the greatest friend in the world. No, I'm not always there, and I feel like I don't give enough back for the things that y'all do for me. But I promise you, you got a very special place in the Dave's heart. I will say that. And thank you again, you two guys, so much for being here. like I said, folks, get on Twitch, look up Mr. Ultimate Omega. That's Ultimate with an I, underscore between Ultimate and Omega. And Scummy underscore 41. Look them up on Twitch, give them a follow, and you will be notified when they go live. And if you're a Fortnite player, then this is a good way to get V-Bucks. If you just like to hear a good time and a lot of people having fun, and you want to interact, these two guys are the guys to go to. Their communities are great, very supportive. Even if you decide to get into streaming, I would suggest that you find a community that awesome. That's what I did. Scummy took me in under his wing, my Mr. Miyagi of streaming, and now I have this nice little community that is very ultra supportive. And actually, the base of my podcast has transferred over from streaming. So once I got into streaming and I built a small audience there, I didn't know if it would translate over to the podcast, but based on the numbers I look at, I'm not going to lie. I say there might be 10 to 15 people that listen to the podcast. And then out of that 10 or 15, there might be 5 loyal listeners out of that. And I'm very thankful for that number. Very fucking thankful. Would I like it to be bigger than that? Sure. But I've only been podcasting a month and a half. So we'll see where this all goes. We really will. We really. I'm just here for the free beer. Sorry, boy. There's no beer here today. I wish there was. I'm debating on getting a 6-pack myself. Doing this podcast is making me want to get a beer. It really, a Miller High Life, because only the High Life will work for me. I also want to say to Ultimate Omega, you got your ultimate family there, and just let Beta know that I love him. I love all your boys. I don't want to say names. I'm trying to think of a different way to say them without saying their names, because I like privacy, and I ain't going to do that to you guys. So, but tell your ultimate group there, they have been an instrumental part of being there for me as well. I know that you're my best friend, just like Scummy is, but those boys, you got a great mod in Beta, and just hearing that, the way that you interact with them, and they're, you two guys are great dads. Great dads. And in a world where I see a lot of people out there that wish they had at least one parent or somebody that was involved in their lives and cared for them and knew how to make the hard decisions to guide and direct a child into the right path, you two guys are A+ on my list. Really are. And I know the odd thing is Mr. Omega is dealing with boys and boys only. And then Mr. Scummy, he's got the worst of it. He's got girls and girls only. And I do say that with plural. There's not just one kid involved here. And let me tell you now, when you have multiples, it will drive you insane. So you guys don't cry. Oh, I'm not going to cry on you. I might shed one tear for each of you. And that will be the extent of it. Keep it coming. If y'all got any topics, you want to say something, bring something up. If you want me to go after something, I don't care. Bring it up, and we'll talk about it. That is kind of the whole point of the interaction part of the podcast, and why I'm so glad you two guys are here. I do appreciate listeners, but what really pushes the podcast, or what I loved about streaming the most, is that I didn't really have to have a game plan when I started. I just reacted and talked off the interaction of the viewer or listener. And so podcasting has been harder in that sense, because once I go live, it's really all up to me. And that I kind of enjoy it, because I am able to stay focused on a topic, but I miss the interaction. I really do. I think that it's important to have that feed off, Hopefully down the road, I'll figure out how to get multiple audio going here. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can interact a phone call or something. And maybe we can have people in the podcast and then Like each week I'll have a guest, and then we'll talk about topics, and we'll go back and forth on them. I always like finding people with different agendas or different viewpoints than I do, because then that helps me grow as a person. I think in today's world that's what's missing, and the whole point of the podcast is behind getting people to think and critically think on their own without being told or looking up information. Get a problem in front of you, just sit down and figure it out, without looking up information and answers. Try to figure it out. That would be a great thing. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Ultimate Omega. I see you got your symbol changed. Good job. I see what you're doing. You're figuring out your end of it, and I know you and Scummy both are doing that. And so after the podcast, hopefully, I'll get in touch with you guys, and I can get from your perspective what I need to do to make it easier on the next one. Again, thank you both so very, very fucking much. You just don't know. Oh, that was my first curse word of the podcast. I'm trying not to curse so much in this one. I think I put up explicit language. I may have it adult use only. I don't know. I really don't. This is all... Oh, blipped out on signing. Oh, okay. Sign in. Okay, I got you. I like I said, I know you. Yeah, you're figuring it all out too. And oh man, I'm rambling so much. I went through so many things at one time. But yeah, the podcast, the whole point of it, I'm not here to tell anybody what the right thing is. No. I'm here to tell you that don't believe the hype. Don't do what you're told. Question it. You could do it, but question it. Don't blindly listen to everything you hear in media or a politician tells you. Okay, there's the topic. I found the topic. It took me a little while, but I found the topic. Oh my God. Not a wordy dirt. Yes, a wordy dirt. I'm going to try not to. I save those for the actual podcast, so I can just let loose and know, okay, that's bad, explicit content. I need to label that. But mindfully, I'm trying not to. But the topic I'm about to go into next is probably going to bring out a couple curse words. And I did label this 18 plus, so might as well make it worth, right? What the hell happened to everybody? Seriously, with politicians. They're the most crooked motherfuckers on the planet. What the hell is wrong with everybody? It makes my brain literally just ache and hurt. I have to take down a couple packets of BC powder just to get to the mental anguish of people having faith in our politicians, to believe in them so much. You literally go out and regurgitate the same bullshit that they say to everybody. I'm sorry, but I was raised, and I believe the whole world was. I've been watching movies and TV shows and everything. We should be brainwashed to not trust a politician. But here I am every day going, well, so-and-so said. I don't give a fuck what Representative so-and-so said. This guy is a fucking liar. He is a liar. Republicans and Democrats get into the position that they get into because of money. They're already rich and powerful. Oh, what's better is politicians don't have a fucking clue how you live your ordinary life. You don't. They don't. It's like Oprah admitting that she's never pumped gas before, and she was like 30 or 40 years old. That's insane. That is actually a legit comment she's made before. I can't remember how far back that goes. Probably 15, 20 years ago. Really have to look that one up for me. But politicians really have no clue. Look, how did we get politicians in the early days of government? They were doctors, people that owned businesses. They were community leaders. And they worked their way up, and because they built a life, they understood how life works. And then they were politicians, part-time politicians. You should never be a full-time politician. There's no need for it. Ever. Life is not that fucking complicated to figure out that you go to school to become a politician. We went from people that lived ordinary life, leading our government, but part of our communities, to people that never fucking built anything, went to school to become a politician. That way of life, the politically correct way of life, is not correct. I believe in PC, all right. It's called people correct. You follow what the people want, what the people feel, what the people desire and need. Politicians don't answer to the people in this country anymore. As a matter of fact, I watched Joe Biden tell a factory worker in a steel mill, "I don't work for you, buddy." Now, granted, Joe has lost his mind, so he might have been just talking out of his head. All the more reason why he shouldn't have been even up for president of the United States. But he looked at an American citizen, a hard worker with a hard hat on, pointed his finger in his face and said, "I don't work for you, buddy." That is your politician in this country. And if people want to continue to have that, "Oh, I'll vote for Republican instead of Democrat." That's not solving the problem. Republicans and Democrats are on the same motherfucking team. The same motherfucking team. It's like watching wrestling, okay? You got the good guy comes out, and then the bad guy comes out and hits him with the chair, and they have a feud. You go to a pay-per-view, the big showdown. They make a lot of money from it, but the whole fucking time, the bad guy and the good guy are having a beer every night, talking about what they're going to do the next day to get everybody worked up so they pay more attention and put more money into it. Hello, Republican, Democrat. That's exactly where the fuck we're at. It's a shit show. It's a literal shit show. I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid. I know fake programming when I see it. The NBA and the NFL are pretty much on the heels of that. By the way, they're both entertainment companies now and not sports companies. Just a little note there for you betting people out there. Basically, I would still bet on wrestling, even though it's predetermined, because I'm betting on the outcome. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Betting on a football game is no different than betting on the main event at the WrestleMania coming up. Okay? Because I don't know who's going to really win it. I do know it's predetermined. So basically, you're still betting on something you don't know. But somebody does. And what would those wagers in Vegas dictate the winner of the match? Or the game? Major League Baseball is still a sport, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. Corrupt government. Yes, indeed. Tell them, Dave. Thank you. Thank you so much, you two. You are awesome. Both of you motherfuckers are. Yeah, really are. But yeah, I can't figure out. And to me is the biggest problem in this country. Is that we have too much faith in our government. It's a necessary evil. It's something that we don't want to have, but we have to have. See, our founding fathers knew how to put together a country, but they also knew it was risky. The only way they can guarantee that our country doesn't end up like every other fucking country on the fucking planet, China being the extreme other side of it, government over people, is they put the people in charge of the government. People over the government. We the people, by the people, for the people. That sentence means a lot to me. The government is made of people, but the people that are in government believe the government is so different and above the people. We're here to tell people what we're representing them. I think I saw Pelosi mentioning that we represent them. We know what they want. No, you don't. Look how unsatisfied every American in this country is right now because they're paying nearly $8 for a carton of eggs. That is insanity. Oh, that's because of the bird. Look, they have a reason for everything. But that doesn't explain my rent went up $200 a month. It doesn't explain why my music subscription went up. None of that. Nothing a politician can say can explain it. Or the car parts they ain't making enough computer chips. It's all bullshit. It's a literal fucking bullshit. And I can't take it no more. And I can't take everybody just sitting around with their thumbs up their ass because they're afraid to talk in their own country. Because someone's going to get offended. Fuck them. They're supposed to be offended. That's what works up new feelings and new ideas, is when people tear it, the new wrestler and the bad wrestler, the good guy and the bad guy. You know what happens? They learn from each other and they become better wrestlers. Some wins, then sometimes they lose. You know, that's life. I'm not going to live in this. I'm not being afraid anymore. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of watching other people be afraid. What are you scared of? What? They're going to cancel you? You're going to lose your job? Look, if you get to that point, I'd rather lose everything being who I am than being something fake to secure my living. You ain't got to have all this material shit to live on this planet. You really don't. Now, granted, we're not in caveman days. We're not, Native Indians living in America, which they had it all right, by the way. We came in and fucked that shit up. We really did. I would love to be smoking a peace pipe on the side of the river next to my teepee, get ready to eat the fish that I just made, that Mrs. SimplySuperDave just cooked for me, and we're just going to sit down and look at the night sky and just enjoy nature and listening to the animals and no digital media. But on the other side, like I said, folks, I'm a fucked up person. I have 15 voices in my head going off at the same time. So it's hard for me to stand on one side of anything. As much as I wish that we were living in old times where we could just live on the side of the river smoking a peace pipe next to the teepee, I also love the fact that we are so forward progressed into the future that we have this digital internet that connects every living human being on the planet simultaneously. That is something groundbreaking. That is something that's never been done in human history before. You are living during a historic time where things could happen without physically doing them. I'm saying you can say something and it gets put out on the internet, and depending on how loud your voice is or not, other people will hear it and then the whole world's chattering about it. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars last year. The whole world stopped to talk about it for one whole night together. That is amazing. Amazing. Considering 20 years ago, it would take weeks for everybody to talk about it because everybody has to find out about it. Now it's instant. Fucking instant. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Whew. So what I want to know is, people, when are you gonna stand up? When are you gonna start speaking? When are you going to question everything that comes in front of you? When will you bite the hand that feeds you? Will you get up off your knees? I'm just saying, folks, you have full control of your life until you try to control it. And then you find out there's limitations, rules in place, regulations. You can't do this. You can't do that. Oh, you can't go fishing without a license. You can't collect rainwater. It's really, if you think, look at the laws in this land, folks. It is a systematic breakdown of control. And what they're doing with inflation, there is no shortages. There is no shortages. It's to force you in, and this is what we did this morning's podcast on, slavery. That's right, chosen slavery. Because we all need a life, right? But if they keep you to the point where you're just making enough to where you're one paycheck away from poverty, if you don't get it, then yeah, that's slavery, folks. Because you're not doing it because you want to, you're doing it because you have to. Think about it. Think about it. Woo! I'm going to just remain seated. Oh, Scummy, you crack me up, big guy. Yes, you do. Make sure you follow that down with a Miller Lite. Definitely follow that down with a Miller Lite. Look, we're about 5 minutes away. So if you want to hear more about the podcast, the political aspect, I'm sure it'll come up more in the podcast. Actually, my very first episode, the second episode, was about inflation and you. Corporate inflation and you. Because the whole point behind the inflation is they're just trying to top the number that they made in 2020 and 2021. Think about it. Everybody stayed home. They bought everything in the stores. Now they were locked in their house. They had to buy every fucking thing out of the warehouses online without leaving the house. So all the stock got bought out. Everybody made all the money they can make. You can't top those fucking profit numbers from 2020 and 2021. You just cannot do it. But they figured out a way. Let's just raise the price on everything. We'll make that money. We're not going to lose money this year. You're not losing money. You're just not going to make the most you've ever made before. That's all. Careful, don't get silenced with all that sensitive intent. Oh man, I don't care. I don't care anymore. They can try to silence me all they want. Anybody can try to silence me. I have made up my mind that I am going to go down sinking with the ship. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. And I am not going to hold back. And I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you're our president. I must bow before you. No, bitch, you bow before me. The president is a servant of the people. Every elected official is a servant of the people. I watched the town hall from Arkansas, and it was this young man, young, we're talking about like 20, maybe even younger. And luckily there was someone in the town hall people, the actual council that allows you to speak and gives you the time and all that allowed him to continue speaking, because he brought up this. He brought up the very same thing I'm telling you today. They were trying to shut down a library in this town, okay? And that's why they were having a town hall meeting. And it just spilled in, and he turned around. First of all, he called them Nazis to their face. Turned around and then started speaking to the people in the audience. Oh, we've got an ambulance coming by here, or a fire truck. Woo, always busy here on the corner. There was one person in the audience that told him, this ain't how you do it and stuff. The councilman then told the person in the audience to shut up. This is his time. He's allowed to speak. That made me proud. That made me feel like at least there's some people in leadership that know the difference between right and wrong. Right and wrong is not what's put in a law book, folks. Right and wrong is determined in your heart and soul, how you feel. If you know you're doing something and it's right, do it. If someone says, well, no, that's wrong, you can go to jail for it, do it anyway. It's the right thing to do. Don't let people put fear in you where you don't do what you instinctively want to do. If you want to speak up against something, if you feel passionate about something, don't let society keep you back. There is nothing bad that can possibly happen to you that's not going to come back on who does it to you. In other words, if you do the right thing and someone punishes you for that, I promise you that karma, that energy will work itself back around and will bite them in the ass. I promise you, folks. It may not happen on your timetable, but I promise you it will. Woo! Oh yeah, we're getting down to the last 1 minute and 38 seconds. Like a true captain. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Scummy41 and Mr. Ultimate Omega for being my very first chatters in the stream, in the podcast. Follow me on Twitch, SimplySuperDave. Follow me on TikTok, SimplySuperDave. Any streaming platform, any podcast platform, SimplySuperDave. Twitter, follow me on Twitter. You will get all the notifications. You'll get drops of the new podcast. You'll get my random thoughts. You'll find things that are interesting that motivates me today. Got to wrap it up. I'm down to the very last minute here. You ain't getting rid of us that easy. I hope not. I really am dependent on pulling more people in. All right, 53 seconds left. I got to wrap this up. All right. Oh, yes. I have a Cash App. $, SimplySuperDave. If you believe in the podcast, you like the podcast, you want to hear more of the podcast, you like the streaming, you want to help a poor person pay his bills, hit me up. I don't care if it's $1, $5, $1,000, $1,500. I'll take that $1,500 in a heartbeat. But anyway, yes, Cash App, $mark, SimplySuperDave. Hit me up if you want to donate. If you don't have the money and you're just like me, just listen. Let me know you listen. Hit me up with a message. Say, hey, I'm following the podcast. 10 seconds left. Remember, folks, there's only one way to conquer the world of hate and fear out there, And that's with love and laughter. Simply Super Dave, out.